Hi.
Hi.
I'm Andy, and this is my husband Brad, and tonight we are going to be talking about homeschooling and what it's like for our family, and just answer a couple questions. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
I am Andy, and you can find me on Instagram at appleandigould, and I blog at A Nest Full of Squishers. You can find the link in my profile. Hi, thanks for joining us tonight. We have 5 children, ages 10, 8, 6, 4, and 3, and a whole handful of squishers in our house. So if you think that this would be beneficial for your followers, go ahead and share this. And if you are on Periscope, be sure that you're checking your followers and blocking bots and all the creepers. So
We don't need any creepers.
no creepers. All right. Allison Winter had a fun experience this afternoon with hordes of creepers. And the trolls. Yes, the trolls. So I am a second generation homeschooler. I was homeschooled from 6th grade all the way through graduation. And we met in college.
What? You're looking at me like you want me to say something, but
He was at a different school for 2 years. I took a year.
You don't want to name it.
I took a year off.
To you.
I took a year off between high school and college, and I was just working and just taking some time before I jumped into college. And I was at school for a semester, and the second semester we met. But I didn't know it. He was there the same semester. We just weren't there the same days. So we never...
You confused me with my identical twin.
He's a twin. He's an identical twin. And what I thought was his first day of school, I said hi, but I thought it was his brother, Andy. His brother has the same name as me, so that's always fun at family functions.
Yeah, newsflash, by the way. If you're an identical twin and someone calls you by your sibling's name, it's pretty common, so don't worry about embarrassing yourself or offending us because, it happens literally our whole life.
Yeah.
So
we started talking, and the first time that we really sat down and talked, I skipped a class, and shame. I skipped a class, and we sat in the little cafeteria at our little tiny college, and we talked for
super tiny
2 hours.
Yeah, at least
2 or 3 hours. We sat in the booth talking, and while we were sitting there talking, that's when I knew I'm talking to the man that I'm going to marry. So the next few months, we just kept getting to know each other a little bit better. And
I was also talking to the man I was going to marry.
So we just started hanging out a little bit more and getting to know each other. And we knew each other for, I guess, 4 months when he asked me to be his girlfriend.
Yeah,
and
I did.
That was the end. So a year and a half later, 2 years after that, we were married. And
1 month.
Yeah, 2 years and 1 month after he asked me to be his girlfriend, we got married. So, and now it's almost 14 years later. Yeah, definitely the beginning. So shortly after we started officially dating, we went on a walk, and we were just talking about our future and what we thought would happen. And I told him, he knew I was homeschooled, but I told him I want to homeschool our children. And I also told him that I wanted 10 children, which that changed over the years. I knew I wanted a lot of children, and in my mind, 10 was a big number, where I still don't think of 5 as really a big family. I know we have a lot of children. We have a whole handful, but I don't really view it as a large family.
No, it's not.
Yeah, he's the youngest of 4, so he wasn't too shy from a larger family.
10 was a little, I don't know, maybe a little overwhelming.
Yeah, 10 would have been 2 handfuls.
But I kind of figured, you have one and you see how things go. And I kind of thought that might put things in perspective, and it did a lot.
I think after our first, I think our number dropped to 4 to 6 children.
After one. That was
Hi, Mom.
amazing. So, yeah, I never necessarily wanted a big family, but I did not want a big family. So, like, one of my good friends in college was the oldest of 8, and I had the privilege of spending Easter with her family one year, and it was so much fun. All her little brothers, especially lots of brothers and sisters. We had such a great time, and it was so fun to be part of that giant family. So, when Annie comes saying 10, it's not like, oh, this is so crazy. I had good experiences with big families, so.
Not going to happen.
Yeah,
Allison.
no more. No more. That's good.
We are good with our family size. We really feel that that this was our last one. She was exactly what our family needed to finish out. I have 2 younger siblings, so I'm the oldest of 3, and Brad has 3 older siblings.
Yeah, I'm the baby of 4 total, but my brother is 16 minutes older than me. So.
And holds it over him all 16 minutes.
Yeah, and my sisters are a bit older, so like we're kind of separated generationally a little. We're still close and everything, but there was a bit of a divide because the youngest one is 7 years older than my brother and I. The other one's 11, so yeah, it's a little different than having just 4 siblings all in a row or whatever.
Yeah.
So, yeah, baby of 4, woo! It's the best, me and the baby. I try and tell my baby that all the time.
I don't agree.
Well, of course you wouldn't, because you're the oldest.
Okay, so how fun. When
Twin power.
when I told you that I wanted to homeschool our children, were you shocked? Were you okay with it?
I was appalled. No, not at all, actually. I had some friends, including my brother's wife. We were friends since like junior high school, my brother and her and I. And she was homeschooled. We went to church with some homeschool kids, and none of the usual weirdos that you're used to and like hear about. Very normal, kind of cool experiences. So like I was open to the idea. I never thought, I'm going to homeschool my kids, but I didn't think I wouldn't. I don't know. I tend to not be a big planner. So, Andy will tell you that. It drives her nuts, I'm sure.
I know so many homeschoolers. I don't know where the weirdo stereotype has come from.
Oh, I think we all know where it's come from.
I mean...
The family at Costco last night? She's so mad at me.
He was really rude. He looked over and he said, Allison, you'll love this. He said, what do you think? Potato sacks?
Don't put my secret thoughts out there on the internet.
They do exist, and for whatever reason, everyone just latches on to that one family that you see or know.
We like the weirdos.
And you just, that's it. That's the picture that's been painted for everyone. So what was your schooling? Just to give a background, what was your education? Your education.
What do you mean? Like, I went to public school. What do you want to know about it?
So you went to public school. Okay, so he was in public school.
Yeah, I was in public school.
The whole time.
I grew up in a, rather wealthy community. We were the not-so-wealthy members. There was a underbelly of not-so-wealthy people in a very wealthy community called Grosse Pointe. Maybe you've heard of it. And I went to school with some kids who were vastly wealthy and some kids who were just like me. So it created a little, I don't know, in some ways pretty and pink dynamic. So that was interesting. Lots of social pressure, lots of craziness. Michigan, that's right.
Yep.
Glad to be gone.
We just moved to Tennessee last year from Michigan. We both, Brad moved to Michigan when he was 5, and so I was there my whole life, and he was there most of his life. So.
Originally from North Carolina. So back to my southern roots.
Yep. So, okay, so he was totally on board. It had never occurred to him to homeschool his children, but he was on board with it, and he's pretty much been on board with everything since then.
Yes.
There's been some things that he kind of gives me wisdom and gives me pause for thought. Oh, how fun. Yeah, we love it here. So are there any surprises that you have had since starting to homeschool our children?
surprises.
Or anything that just kind of threw you for a loop or you weren't expecting maybe?
Well, it's funny you say threw you for a loop because, like, you know, you could say that is the Shakespearean Salt mug. It was a wedding present. My friend got married back in October, and he got this for me, and it's quite a delightful mug. So, you clod of wayward marl, you, hopefully you enjoy. Yeah, I mean, you think of surprises, and I think most people tend to think of negative, like, oh, what's like threw you for a loop, what's bad. Not that there weren't things that threw me for a loop, but like I was pretty blown away by just how like open and free homeschooling is. Like, it's just a great experience. It's super flexible, and I don't know, very involved and in depth at the same time. But you know, I guess probably didn't expect it to be, even though I don't do much with the education side of things. Like, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work for Andy, and she does a tremendous job with it. But like, it's a lot of work for me too, because there's a lot of other stuff that you got to do because, you know, she's homeschooling all day. So we have to kind of divide up shifts and make sure we're covering things and taking care of that stuff. She is a wizard. I honestly wonder where her magic wand is. I think she hides it.
Being a one-income family, it's all on him because I don't bring anything to the table financially.
Not always.
Well,
at random times she'll just like sell half the stuff we own and make a profit so she can make money so she can buy the stuff she really wants. So,
I can buy more books and bookshelves.
Yeah, someday we'll have to do a scope where you see our library.
Yeah, get some tea. We're having Don't Worry, Be Happy. It's a chamomile tea. So not any like major surprises though. Yeah, buy all of the books, please.
Yeah, no, I don't. I mean, no like major surprises. Like, I don't tend to think ahead a lot about what might happen. So like everything's a surprise in some ways. Like, hey, I never thought this was going to happen, or I didn't imagine life would be like this, and that's how it goes. So, okay. You know, full of surprises, I guess.
So you said that you were kind of surprised of how free it was and the benefits. What are some of the benefits you see from homeschooling our children?
Well, I mean, there is that freedom, like, and flexibility. Like, we're not tied to a school schedule. Like, I have never ever come home from work and had to sit down with my kid and do homework for like hours, ever. In fact, I don't have to do work with my kids like at all. So, I mean, from that perspective, it's very freeing as a parent because, you know, they do their work during the day, which is awesome. But, you know, there's a lot of freedom for them to learn as they are and who they are. Like, they're learning about who they are as a person. They're learning responsibility. So, you know, you're home and, you know, you got to take care of stuff like, hey, this is your pile of toys you got out and you got to pick it up. And I was thinking about it, like education just in general, and like it's not just learning math and reading and all that, but you know, just like learning how to take care of yourself and being a responsible human being. And sitting here with my 3-year-old as she like folds her clothes, you know, it's really crazy. But you know, just that openness and freedom, the flexibility, like just the joy of learning. And kind of everyone can do their own thing at their own pace, which I think is great. And you don't have all that peer pressure and crap from school. You know, it's just like I said, I went to a pretty wealthy school, and so it's obviously easy to look at other people in their lives and say like, oh, they have all this money or they got this nice stuff. And I don't know. I guess I consider myself lucky. I was in the first grade. I was 6 or 7 years old, and I got this vinyl jacket. It was like a fake leather jacket, and I thought it was hot stuff. Man, I was so cool in that jacket. And I wore it into school, and I wore it into class, and instead of hanging up my coat like I was supposed to, I sat down at my desk because I was going to wear my jacket because I'm cool. And my teacher said, Brad, you need to go hang up your coat. And so, being the compliant child I am, I got up and I hung up my coat, and I went back to my desk. And at, no joke, 6 or 7 years old, I thought to myself, I will never be cool. And, I don't say that to like beat up on myself, but I mean, like, at a very young age, I realized like I don't care what everyone else thinks or like what I wear or how I act. Is going to be defining who I am. So, flash forward to high school, and I wore like Hawaiian shirts and just stupid crap that people would never wear, just to embarrass myself, embarrass other people, and just be obnoxious. My friends in college actually told me they were embarrassed by the stuff I wore, which included at times an apron, just randomly wearing an apron around school.
This was when he was at the other school before he joined me.
The other school, also known as the Ohio State University. So yes, I am a Buckeye. Love my Buckeyes. And had a great time there, but would never have met Andy if I hadn't moved. So, anyway, I say all that because I know a lot of kids don't have that experience. They don't feel that freedom to like say, screw you, essentially, I don't care what you think. And I feel like, I caught Andy with my cool outfits. She has improved my dress dramatically since we've been married and a couple. So, yes, for sure. I have no fashion sense at all. But, the kids aren't exposed to that. They deal with sibling meanness, but like, oh, super.
OH.
Sorry, I gotta stop there. My brain's all over the place.
So your teacher putting you in your place that day because for her to keep the classroom on track and making sure that everyone is in order, she needed you to put your coat away.
Yes.
And that altered your
socialization at work.
That altered your opinion all the way through your life.
Yes. Yeah. But my kids don't have to deal with that. They get to do what they want, and not that they get to walk all over everyone and do whatever they want, but they get to learn at their own pace, and they get to experience things at their own pace without someone saying, "You're stupid, you're ugly, I'm going to beat you up just because I don't like you," or you don't dress like me, or you don't act like me, or you chose not to sit with me at the lunch table. And
it's not just following the rules. Homeschooling, you still have to follow rules. There's still rules in society, but we can. When you're an adult,
those social constructs. That's
right.
What I'm talking about.
But when you come out of school, you have that ability to say, clothing is not a social yes or no. You can express yourself as an adult however you want to dress. By not wearing clothes. So it's giving our children the opportunity to find out which are the social rules that we need to follow and which ones are not. Right now, they don't have to wait until. That
is to say, listen to mom and dad and what they tell you to do. Right. I think another benefit of homeschooling that like probably people don't think about is like Andy gets to be herself, and she gets to be at home and be with the kids and just bless them with her knowledge and her creativity, which is awesome. I mean, she just like amazes me every single day. I'm like. She just like whips stuff out like some crafty thing, and it's like she's like, "Oh, I just did this afternoon." I'm like, normal people can't do that like at all, and you just like pull that out.
So you're saying I'm strange and I'm odd and
no, I'm
saying not normal.
I'm saying you're a magician. You're a wizard. But at the same time, like it's opened this new world to this kind of thing where Andy gets to share her gifts and talents with other people. And all of her educational experience and say like, hey, these are things I'm doing that might work. And, she takes a lot of stuff in about, what other people have to say. And, I'm a fly by the seat of my pants kind of guy. I live in the moment. And Andy is like Miss Planner. She's a researcher.
I'm type A.
If she wants to know something, she's going to dig into it and find out. My research is I Google it, and if I don't find the answer I'm looking for within one click,
if the first result
done.
If the first result does not answer his question, he doesn't know what to do. It's over.
See, that's why you're a magician, because you like know what to do. You're like, look, this is what you click on, and this is how you find things.
Go to the next result.
This is the amazing woman who's educating my children and teaching them how to dig into things and like, hey, you're interested in that. You like birds. Let's look at birds. Let's find out about birds. Let's find out about whatever it is. And it's wonderful. So, The other great thing, like we talk about, I'm sure Annie said it before on some of her stuff, but like our she is a professional problem solver. Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I'm actually a type A person too. I'm like super high strung.
I'm like type A in every possible aspect, though.
I think I tend to be OCD, so in order to avoid obsessing and being compulsive about things, I avoid planning and thinking about things so that I don't have to obsess about them. It's probably the easiest way to say that, but...
and for me, if I don't have a plan laid out in front of me, I go crazy because I don't know where we're going. What are we supposed to be doing right now?
We balance each other out.
We do balance each other out. We really do.
Yeah. But like I was going to say, our oldest reads all the time, and that's how I was as a kid. Like
Obsessive avoidance. That's exactly what he is.
Yes. It's a great term. I'm going to start using that, I think. I'm an obsessive avoider. It's one of my many obsessions. But yeah, like as a kid, I read all the time. I didn't have a lot of friends, and like our oldest one, she reads all the time, like literally all the time, and she just devours books. And I think about her in school and like her short attention span and her difficulty in following orders, even for people that she knows. And I don't see her fitting into the school structure. And our 4-year-old is like all over the place. He's like little mini me. He's got all of her engineering ability all tied in with all of my like all over the placeness, which is awesome. But like I can't see him sitting in school without someone saying, your son's ADD and he needs to be on medication.
Or he can't come back. Yeah.
So, in our environment, Andy can work with him at his own pace and in his own way to help him embrace things and learn things and be who he is.
I will say I am nervous. He'll be 5 in April, so next month he'll be 5. So sometime in the next year we'll be beginning structured school time with him. And I'm a little bit terrified of that because it's going to stretch me in learning how to get him to stay focused, but still have fun and still be free.
Just think of what you would do with me, and you'll probably be fine. What would Brad do? I often try and tell Andy that kind of stuff, like because our oldest is a lot like me. She'll sometimes call me and be like, I don't know what to do with this kid. And she's our 10-year-old too. So like,
yeah. So Ellison, Boston, and our oldest, I really feel like Elle is the female version of him when you talk about him. That there's a lot of things that she's never been tested, but we're pretty sure that she has sensory processing disorder, and that she's somewhere on the spectrum of ADD. And so trying to put her into a classroom would really, it would be a struggle to put her in that environment when she can't handle when there's a lot going on, the distractions. And when she's really good talking with adults, but talking with other children, she has a hard time. So to put her in a room of 20 to 30 other children her age with one adult would be really hard for her. And so being able to have her home and let her learn in an environment that she's comfortable in has allowed her to really flourish in education. She, right after she turned 4, a month after her 4th birthday, she was trying to read, and it wasn't just looking at a book trying to make up a story. She was really trying to read the words. And as a former preschool teacher, I knew, knowing my child, I knew if she started reading something the wrong way, it was going to get stuck in her head, and she was going to read that way forever. So we got a reading program that my mom had, that she had used for my younger sister, and she started learning to read at 4. And had I not already thought that we were going to be homeschooling and already been intentionally schooling with her at home, I don't know that we would have done that. And waiting until she had gone into kindergarten, she may have developed some poor habits that would have been hard for her teachers to break. But it's allowed her, she's literally constantly reading every chance she can. She's got another book in her hand. And it's helping in other areas of school too. being able to have that drive, that self-drive that she started when she was 4.
Right.
Okay, so what is your role in school, in our homeschool?
That's a good question. Well, I don't do much educating. Mostly Andy does, take care of that. There was a brief window like 2 years ago when I did like all the history, which was basically me reading the history book out loud to the kids while they did art projects about the history book. I don't remember why that stopped. That's how things go in my life sometimes. I'm real, into it and we're doing it, and then it's like it falls away or we stop for a break. And
we hit a different part of our history curriculum and we weren't reading the book anymore. And it's about
that was that sucky book, wasn't it?
No, we tried a different one for a little while.
Oh, the one I liked and the kids hated. That's right. There was a book we tried and I liked it. And the kids were like, "We like the other book, Dad." And I was like, "What's wrong with you?" So I do I do a lot of bedtime. Like, Andy, we kind of divvy up tasks and stuff, and I tend to get the kids ready for bed, which usually starts about, 7:30. Me trying to get everyone in their pajamas and, sending them off, which, now that they're older, is mostly just telling them, "Hey, go brush your teeth, go get your pajamas on." Just trying to remember to keep on top of that. And then, I read them a story at night, and we always pick different stories, and I let them kind of pick sometimes, or sometimes I use books off the homeschool reading list, and sometimes I just pick books that I want to read. 50-50.
That's
good for you guys.
That's impressive. Okay, yeah, flexible jobs would really help with that.
I do not have a flexible job at all. I'm in the office 8 to 5 every day, and some days it's longer, which is probably one of the most frustrating things about my new job, actually. Most of everything I like,
okay.
But so I read to the kids every night, and I try and just pick stories that are great, and then I loved, as a kid, and then balance that with books that I like as an adult, and, maybe have experience children's books that I've experienced as an adult, like Harry Potter and stuff, but also, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. We had a disaster of a time through The Hobbit. Lorelai was the only one that actually finished reading it with me.
Brad's not really the principal. We have a really close friend who's a principal of a school. And I hear that a lot, that, my husband's the principal. But Mike's job is way different than the involvement that Brad has. So yes. I look at Brad as more of a superintendent type, that I go to him when I need support, when I need money. It's just kind of, it's a different view on things, because growing up homeschooling, I was homeschooled and my dad was viewed as the principal, but again, he didn't really do a whole lot with us. He taught me math.
Which was a disaster.
Yeah, it is kind of a joke, but I like thinking of him more as that superintendent role, because it helps with me knowing what should I be going to him, what should I be expecting from him. I expect him to support me, and I do expect him sometimes, our son who's 6, right, this is what I was going to say. Our son is 6.
That's my one principal role.
And he does have a hard time when I say it's time to come to the table for school. And he will run away from me. I'm like, "Oh no, you need to come back." And I'll finally get him to the table, but it takes, most of our school time to get him to the table. And so, and then either my type A is rushing through to try and get everything checked off of our list, or try and make it look like we did enough today for school, instead of just saying, "This is what you need to do. You need to obey me, and you need to come to the table." So Brad will talk to him a lot, and we've called you.
She'll call me at work sometimes.
We've called him at work a few times.
I need you to talk to your son.
Yeah. You need to talk to him, and you need to, because I need him to come to the table, and I need him to do school, and I need him to listen to me. So,
and I will. He does really well. Honestly, he and I butt heads a lot, because he's a lot like me in my obsessive ways. We kind of have problems with that. So most of the time, he wants Andy, and he needs to deal with Andy. And she'll so if he wakes up in the middle of the night and he's having a bad night, I go in with all the other kids, but she goes in with him, because he won't do anything with me. But for some reason, because I'm the dad, he listens to me when I I don't want to say get in his face because it's not like I'm yelling at him and like screaming. But when I talk to him man to man, I'm like, look, you need to respect your mom. When she tells you to do something, you need to do it. And, we talk about it all the time. How are you supposed to treat your mom? What are you supposed to do when your mom tells you to do things? Are you doing what you're supposed to do? And he's like, no. And then, for whatever reason, he snaps out of it. And that's the thing. Like, every kid's got that thing that snaps them out of their bad mood or whatever. And that's the thing that works with him.
Yeah.
So she would call me about our oldest one, too.
Yeah.
And because we're a lot alike, I tend to be an intuitor. I'm more of a feeler than a thinker. And so I would tell her, like, tell me what's going on. And I would feel the situation. I'd be like, okay, so here's what's wrong, and here's what you need to do. And then later I would talk to her and be like, how did it go? And she's like, it was terrible. Everything was bad. I'm like, well, did you do what I told you to do? And she's like, well, no. Because to her, it didn't make sense. Like, whatever I told her to do didn't make sense because it wasn't her logical brain pattern. But, like, I get called in sometimes to deal with the crap. So I guess, they do get sent to the principal. That's like my administrative school role. But,
yeah.
I am the money. Like, I'm the financer. I'm the backer. It's like our Gould Clan charter school. Yeah. I'm the one who's making the money to bankroll the whole thing.
Buy all those books.
Yeah, to buy all the books. But, and reading aloud, that's like my main contribution probably to their education. And I think, it's a great nightly routine because it helps them have structure and helps them go to bed. When we don't do it for a while, like when I moved down here before the family, it was such a disaster. And bedtime was just like blown out of the water. But, the stories too, like them hearing these stories and thinking about these stories. And I don't even think they're paying attention half the time. Our 4-year-old is like all over the place. And I'm reading a story, and then like 2 days later, he'll be like, Dad, in the story the other night, when you were reading about this, I had a question. And he asked me the question he was thinking of for like 2 days. So, I don't take light of that. And that's probably a surprise, I guess, the reading aloud thing and how beneficial it is for kids. That's been a surprise to both of us, I think.
Yeah.
Just learning about that and how much it means to kids to have your stories read aloud to you. And it takes me back when I was a little boy. My dad read to us. It's probably embarrassing to admit this, but I remember being in like 8th grade. I'm pretty sure I was 14 years old and my dad still read us stories at night, which is awesome. Like, as an adult, I look back and I say, that's awesome. I remember accidentally slipping the truth out. We were with some school kids at Taekwondo camp, actually. And I said something about my dad read this. I started to say my dad read that story to me, and then I was like, I read that story. And I lied because I didn't want them to be embarrassed. Like, I didn't want to be embarrassed that, like, my dad still read me stories at 14 years old or whatever. But, I have great memories of my dad reading to us every single night. Narnia especially has been ingrained in the family. And so when he comes, my dad...
It was probably his favorite to read to you.
My dad just reads all the time with the kids.
Yeah.
And I love, as an adult, sitting in the room listening to his voice, because his voice when he reads is his reading voice. And apparently I have a reading voice. I did not know that. But Andy's informed me, and the kids hate when I do other voices because they want me to read in my normal reading voice. So if I'm reading a story with a British accent or some kind of crazy accent or just some made-up voice, they're like, scream, and they throw things, and they get in my face, and they cover my mouth, and, it's pretty fun. But
yeah. It
helps them a lot.
They don't like if he pulls out the British accent or... Which
is terrible.
Just the silly voice
or something. The
only
thing worse is my Scottish accent.
Okay, so someone on Facebook asked me how we find time for each other and how we, talk normal.
Talk normal, yes.
How we find time for each other with 5 children. It's really...
I wonder if that's tied together. Do you think that's tied together? That you don't read and your parents didn't read to you?
Yeah, reading out loud was a big change for me because I wasn't read a whole lot as I got older. When I was little, my parents would read books, but not tons. It wasn't a super, super valued time. And then when we were homeschooled, we did read alouds. My brother and my mom and I would do read alouds together sometimes. So it was not... I'm dyslexic, and so reading in general was a challenge for me growing up. So it wasn't ever really presented to me, I guess. So when I started realizing reading aloud to our children is beneficial for them, but it's also beneficial for me. I can see myself improving my reading skills when I'm reading to them for 2 hours a day, every day.
Yeah. This is the first year you're kicking my butt.
Yeah.
She's read more books than me this year.
I'm on, I think, my 18th book right now for 2016. I'm reading The Count of Monte Cristo right now. It's so good.
Such a good book.
Yeah. So, okay. So time together.
Ooh.
We
right now.
We just moved to Tennessee from Michigan. We moved away from family. We moved away from friends. We moved away from all of our babysitters. So this has been a real challenge for us the past, how long have we been here? 6 months? 6 months?
6 months. Ish. Maybe longer?
No, it's been about 6 months. So these past 6 months, we've had very, very little time. Yep, it's a big change. So we've had very little time.
Spotting a unicorn?
It is. It really is.
I love to spot a unicorn, actually.
Together, right? So, yeah, if you're in military, if you move a lot, if you've recently moved, if you've moved away from family, oh, you're here. Good. I'm so glad. Yeah, so having no family here has been really challenging. We do a lot of home dates.
Yes.
I'll
send text messages from work like, hey, want to watch TV and eat some ice cream tonight?
Yay!
And that's like a big deal. So
really our intentional time together, we try to spend some time together at night.
Hey, their date night's watching us.
That's fun.
Hope you're enjoying it.
Yeah, so hopefully, we'll either watch a show together or we'll read together. And when I say read together, yes. I'm reading my book and he's reading his.
It makes bedtime so important.
Yeah. And then sometimes we'll talk.
When they're in bed and we're done, it's done.
Yeah, when 8 o'clock, when the clock strikes, I shut off as far as parenting goes.
Except I'm reading most of the time. So.
Yeah, he's still reading a little bit.
Ooh, 7 p.m.
Yeah, our kids wake up really early, and they're still up until 8, and then the older ones come out of their room after they're done reading.
Not all the older ones.
No, not always, but they come out and they go into another room together. So yeah we have early risers.
Our 8-year-old loves to get up with me in the morning, and I get up at like 5. So usually by 5:30 or 5:45, she's out. So at bedtime, 7:45, 8 o'clock, she's actually in bed a lot of nights just going to sleep. She's like, she falls asleep during the story.
Yeah.
Because she loves getting up with me. And well, she likes to get up with me so she can spend time with me alone. Mm-hmm. And so she can drink coffee with me. Because if she's up with me, she gets coffee almost every day.
Yep. So. My sympathy levels just plummet at 8 o'clock. Yeah. I could care less.
Yeah, she's done, man. Some nights I'm like, where are you?
If you are crying, I just be quiet and go to sleep. That's what I need you to do right now. So we really try after the children are in bed that we are together. It doesn't happen every night. We do things away from each other, but pretty much.
Yeah, that's pretty much it, Allison. That's right on. It's bad.
So that's our biggest thing that we do is we just really try to make that time for each other, that we're intentional about being together.
Yeah, it sucks when we got stuff to do, like it's just a lot, I'd say I have to pay bills or like work on stuff, or like if I have to work late. Every once in a while, I'm a trainer. I teach people to do their job, so like every once in a while, there's lots of stuff that has to happen, and I end up working late and stuff, and it's just like, I haven't seen you. We've been in the same house, but I haven't seen you.
Yeah.
So it's.
But 2 weeks ago we went and surprised the kids and got donuts. And we put them at a table and we went and sat on a little couch and we had a 3-minute date. We were able to sit there and
eat donuts.
Eating donuts. So
always a plus.
We just really try to find those few minutes anywhere we can. So, like I said, our children...
the fire night, too.
Our children sometimes, most nights, at least 2 of them will come out of our 3 oldest. But we've just set up that boundary that they can go in the playroom and they can do quiet things in there until 9:30. So
sometimes we forget they're in there.
Yeah.
Because they're like all alone.
They're quiet.
And they're just quiet and reading. They put on their listener stories, and they color and they work on crafts. And our oldest loves crafts. She likes reading and she likes crafts. So when she puts her headphones on and starts crafting, it's like you could lose her for hours.
Yeah.
I think. And so sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like 10 o'clock. Lorelai's not in bed yet. We got to go take care of that. The other ones usually kind of come out and they're like, I'm tired.
I'm tired. They're not
Lorelai
quite.
never does that. She would probably be up till like 11. Yeah.
Yes, we do. So yeah, if if your children are up to, but you're wanting to have that time, just start setting boundaries. You guys can be up also, but this is time for us, and we're gonna go. Remove yourself from the room and go find a different place to be with your husband, and just be really intentional about that. Allison, what is Mrs. Casanova? Is that her Instagram handle? She has, if you find her on Instagram, she has some really great date night ideas. Yeah, Mrs. Casanova. And she and her husband do things. Their children are older, but she has a lot of fun little ideas. And they're all things that almost all of them are things you could do at home. So if you're on Instagram, go find her and look through her hashtag and find, I don't remember, I think it's dating your husband or something, some hashtag like that. She just did one a couple days ago, so you can find it pretty easily. And there's another website, I can't remember, but there's somebody else that I found recently that has a bunch of simple date ideas to date your husband. Letter themes, that's what she does for her dates, yeah. So just finding just little things to be intentional, that's really the key ingredient. Whether you've got babysitters or not, you can still find time to be together.
And when your kids are older, like our kids are starting to get old, the oldest one's 10, and the 8-year-old, and they're pretty responsible. They can do things. So like, was it 2 weeks ago?
I think it was last week.
2 or 3 weeks ago, we had a real warm weekend for February, and I called her on the way home, and she was like, I don't want to talk right now. I don't know what she was doing. So like, I called my dad, and my dad's usually like a pretty quick conversation on the phone, and we talked forever. I sat in the driveway and talked to my dad, and he finally came out, and she's like, got a couple beers, and like,
I was waiting for him to come in.
We went and sat on the patio, and we were like, oh, this is a bummer. We got to go make dinner. And then I was like, or the kids could make dinner. So as a joke, I called our oldest 2 out, and I was like, hey, do you guys want to make dinner for everyone tonight? And they were like, okay. And they did. They made peanut butter and jelly roll-ups that they like, and they fed everyone. They wiped everyone up. They got everyone ready for bed.
They all
we sat out
together.
on the patio for like 3 hours.
So our patio, we're facing into the dining room, so we can see them eating dinner and cleaning up, and we see kids running by with pajamas, without pajamas, and so, it was really nice. We were out there for a few hours.
It was humorous.
It was lovely.
But it was, and I made it a point to thank them big time the next day. I was like, thank you so much for all your help. You guys were great, and it was really nice for Mom and I to have some time alone. And I want to say too, like, if you're on the fence about whether your kids can do that kind of stuff, maybe try it, because they really came through. And I feel like after that, there's been a difference in our house. Like, the kids have started taking more responsibility and ownership for things. And not that they weren't before, but like, that was a really big like shift for them.
I turning point for them. They realized that, we can take care of ourselves. Our children really love the boxcar children, and I think that sometimes they get really fascinated with taking care of themselves, and what if we had to live on our own?
They constantly play the game that they're orphans.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what that means about us, but yeah, we're dead.
Every time they play a game, I'm dead. So they have no mother.
Oh man, don't make me cough. Too much laughing is coughing.
So just really trying to be intentional, and it's so fun. If they can cook, even if they can, our children made peanut butter and jelly tortilla roll-ups. So it wasn't anything extravagant, but sometimes we will put on a movie for them, because in our house we don't do a whole lot of TV, because some of our children get pretty aggressive when they're in front of the TV for even 5 minutes. Yeah. So
what's egg in the hole?
Like probably an egg in the basket. Is it bread that you cut out the hole and put an egg in there?
That sounds delicious.
It's called different things. Yeah. Robin, you're in Canada, right? Is that a Canadian term for egg in the basket, maybe?
Yeah, we feel that one.
Yeah.
All wonky.
They just get really aggressive. Yeah. So sometimes though we'll put the TV on anyways. We'll put a movie on and we can go either watch something else or we can just go talk. So just being intentional and finding different things to entertain your children for a little while so that you can have some time in a different room. And they still, we were on that patio and they were coming out and talking to us. They were banging on the window and talking to us through the window.
Making faces.
Yeah. But it was still really nice because for the most part we were off duty as parents.
Yep.
We were just kind of observing. So, yeah. So does that answer your question about how we find time together? I hope it does. Yeah. So I don't know if anybody else has any questions before we wrap up. I'm so glad. Oh, good. I'm glad it helps you. I'm so glad you guys were all here tonight with us, talking about homeschooling and
yes, thanks for joining us.
Life with 5 children. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of work, but we love it. So you can find me on Instagram at appleandy, and you can find him on Instagram at Shakespeare17.
I'm off the grid. Don't look for me.
Yeah, if you guys have any other questions, otherwise we are good to go. Thank you so much. Our children are 10, 8, 6, 4, and 3. Thank you. So yeah, they're all just under 2 years apart. So, yeah. Do you have anything else to say?
Nope.
All right.
May the force be with you.